Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional Go player. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Go proverb, play a Hane at the head of two stones. The two stones in question are these two white stones, and black is supposed to play a Hane at the head of them. This is the position to recognize where these two white stones do have a shortage of liberties, so the fact that the black stones are sort of curling around them and reducing their liberties is relevant. And it's interesting, the Japanese proverb, if I loosely translate it, it would say something like, play a Hane at the head of two stones and don't even think about it, because they emphasize the fact that it's such a good point that you should just sort of automatically play at this point. And so the comparison is that if you don't play it and white plays something like this, or maybe a jump, white will be controlling the top side of the board if white does that. So it's a huge difference when black plays here and closes off that side. And because the two marked white stones are short of liberties, it will be relatively easy for black to close off the side. So another thing that is sort of part of the package here is that if white plays a Hane back, it's almost always the correct move to play a double Hane. So you should remember this double Hane with the Hane at the head of two stones. And because white is short of liberties on the right, white does have to defend, and black can continue to build a huge wall here. So that Hane at the marked point at 016 was a very important move here. This was an example of black stopping white from extending out towards a side. So it's a Hane on the fourth line like this. It can happen on the fourth line or the third line usually. Okay, now let's look at a shape where white is trying to move from the side out into the center. And again, it's a shape where black is in a position where black has potential to attack white. And the Hane at the head of two stones is definitely an attacking Tesuji. In this case, black does have a local advantage, and so this is a case where black would want to think of a Hane at the head of two stones. So for instance, extending here is a more defensive, a more submissive move, which in this case will give white the room to move out to the center in a relatively clean escape. And so since black seems to be attacking here, it's probably better for black to play the Hane on top of two stones. And again, when white responds with a Hane here, again, it's going to be the shape for black to play a double Hane. Just putting a lot of pressure on white when white is already in a, it looks like white's in a cramped position. So if white cuts here, black will connect, and white will have trouble getting out of this. So white can play an Atari here, and eventually has to connect. So black will be able to enclose the white position, and white will have to make eyes inside. So it's a very cramped position for white, and black is getting a good position towards other parts of the board. So it would be the left half of the board or the center of the board in this case. So this was an example of playing Hane on top of two stones on the third and fourth lines. It's very common to have this shape where there are two stones on the third and fourth lines which are trying to move out towards the center. So this would happen in a position where black is attacking white locally, and white played here to try to get some space, to get a base there, and is pushing up to try to enlarge in that base on the upper side, and black has to play strongly to make use of the local advantage. So that's what this Hane was all about. And finally, let's take a look at this position, where again we have the situation where these two stones are up against each other. I'm hoping it's starting to look familiar at this point. And black will play a Hane at the head of two stones. So again, this is an attacking move. And so if I was playing this position with white, I would probably be thinking of an extension or maybe a jump, just to forestall black from playing that Hane at the top of white stones. If white were to play a Hane of his own, I think that this would be getting into trouble in a position where black has a lot of stones in the area. So it's not a good idea for the defensive side to be thinking of doing this kind of move. So to look how black's Hane is going to work here, if white plays a Hane, again, it's good shape to play a double Hane here. So this is good enough for me. And if white extends, black can connect. And the mark point at M17 there is a point that black can play next is a kind of a vital point in white's shape. So if black plays there next, it's going to be a very difficult position for white. So this is an example of black building on the right side and curling around on top of white. So black has potential to control the center of the board also. Going back to this position, white might jump actually, in which case it will look something like this. And again, black is using this Hane, this move here, to control the right side of the board, and is also starting to get some control of the center of the board. So I'd say black should be happy with this continuation. So in this video, I showed you some examples of the Hane on top of two stones, or the Hane at the head of two stones, and I hope you enjoyed it. So I'll be back with more videos. Please sign up to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you.